Good. It's good to be together. It's an auspicious time for us in our calendar because it's not only Shabbat, which also often just brings goodness and calmness, but today is Shvi'i Shel Pesach. It is the seventh day, or we're really right at the edge. We're heading into that seventh day of Pesach, which in and of itself is actually a little holiday. It's not a Chag in the same way that at the end of Sukkot you have Shmini Atzeret and you have Simchat Torah, but it is spoken about specifically in the Torah. And it says, after telling us that for Shivat Yamim Matzot Tochelu, that for 7 days we're going to eat matzah, it then goes on to say that Ubayom Harishon Mikra Kodesh, Ubayom Hashvi'i Mikra Kodesh. That both the first day of those 7 days is going to be a time that's going to be a holy time, and also the last of those days, the seventh of those days, is going to be a time of holiness. And what does that mean? What makes something sacred for us? It's a time that we are not going to do any work. There's Kol Malacha Lo Ye'aseh Bahem. No work is going to be done on those days. So it is reminiscent of Shabbat, but in the tradition, even though that's all we get in the Torah, the rabbis pretty early on in the commentary begin to believe and calculate that this is the day that the sea was split, that the miracle of the splitting of the sea happened, which is actually what we're going to read in the Torah tomorrow. We're going to read the song of Moshe and the people as they go through the sea into their redemption. And they say it's a day of miracles, that we celebrate miracles. And in some learning, I stumbled upon another miracle that the rabbis believe happened on this very day. And in the Talmud, there's a discussion, and one of the rabbis says that on the 21st of Nisan, which is 7 days after the beginning of Pesach, that the splitting of the sea happened, but also it is believed that this is the day that Yocheved, that Miriam and Moshe and Aaron's mother took baby Moshe and put him into the basket and down the Nile. That this is the very day that that happened as well, on this day of miracles. And there's a conversation that the rabbis are imagining happening as this woman, as Yocheved has to put her baby into the river. They imagine the angels turning toward each other and saying, how could it be that on this same day, on the very same day that he who is destined to sing the song, a beautiful song of gratitude and sing of the universe and all the goodness of the universe, how is it that that same day that person, Moshe, shall be punished by being put into the Nile? But what we know and what comes next is not a punishment. What happens next is an act, a pretty miraculous act, where Bat Paro, the daughter of Pharaoh, comes down to bathe in the Nile, and she sees this basket, and she actually hears the cries, or muffled cries, of baby Moshe, and she draws the basket near her, and she opens that basket, and she saves him. She chooses to save him. And we often think about miracles as being supernatural. Quite literally, the splitting of the sea. A sea would never split. That's the type of miracle, something where the hand of God comes in and something that we never could have imagined happening unfolds before our eyes. But this is another kind of miracle that we're introduced to on Shvi'i Shel Pesach. Bat Paro comes down, and she changes the way of human nature. She says, it would be expected of me to follow the rules of a king, not only the rules of a king, but that king being my father, the Pharaoh being my father. And she looks at the baby, and she chooses not to give in to the evil that's around her, not to give in to the darkness. She pulls baby Moses in, and she chooses kindness. She chooses chesed. She chooses to start the redemption in this moment of saving his life. And as we go into this beautiful Shabbat of Shvi'i Shel Pesach, in a world where we are surrounded by hardship, we are surrounded by a society, by leaders who are bringing badness, who are bringing evil, who are pushing us to maybe even toward our nature to say, I just want to give up. I can't. I want to close my eyes. I want to cover my ears, or potentially just to be dragged into, you do this to me, I'll do that to you. But what this comes to say, what Bat Paro reminds us, and the miracle of this very day, yes, there's the splitting of the sea, but there's also the miracle that reminds us that we can actually go against whatever nature we are being pulled toward, and we can say, we are a people of chesed. We are going to sink into that chesed, and not only that, we are in the week of chesed. We are counting toward the Omer, and each week is given a different midah, a different character trait. This first week is that week that grounds us in chesed, in kindness. And so on the Shabbat of Shvi'i Shel Pesach, of this auspicious moment, may we not only be drawn to the beautiful miracles of the splitting of the sea, but also the ways in which we can open ourselves up, just as Bat Paro opens up the Teva, opens up this little ark to hear the cries of those who are so desperately in need.